What if one decision could change your entire life? Would you risk everything you own for the chance of becoming insanely rich? Welcome to 3x3 Finance, where we break down the craziest financial stories and the money lessons you need to know. Would you bet your entire life savings on a single stock? Would you take out $1 million loan with no plan? Would you sell your house just to invest in Bitcoin? These might sound like crazy decisions, but real people have done them. Some of them became millionaires overnight, others lost everything in the blink of an eye. Today you're going to hear 5 insane stories of people who risked it all. Some made it, some didn't. And one man walked away from $300 billion without even realizing it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly who won, who lost, and what you can learn from their high-stakes gambles. Let's get into it. The man who walked away from a $300 billion fortune. Imagine being part of a small startup alongside some of the most brilliant minds in the world. Imagine being offered a 10% stake in a company that would later dominate the entire industry. Now imagine selling your shares for just $800, only to find out years later that the company grew into a $3 trillion empire. This is the story of Ronald Wayne, the man who helped co-found Apple alongside Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak and made one of the worst financial decisions in history. Back in 1976, Apple was just a tiny startup, operating from a garage. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were young, ambitious, and risk-taking, willing to bet everything on their vision. Ronald Wayne, however, was different. He was older, more experienced, and he had already seen businesses fail. He worried about debt. He feared the uncertainty of the tech world. And so, just 12 days after co-founding Apple, he made a decision that would haunt him for life. He sold his 10% stake in Apple for just $800. At the time, it seemed logical. Apple was still unproven and he wanted financial security. But fast forward to today, that 10% stake would be worth over $300 billion. Wayne didn't just walk away from money, he walked away from the opportunity of a lifetime. For the rest of his life, he watched from the sidelines as Apple became one of the biggest companies in history. He never bought another share, he never got a second chance. The lesson? Sometimes the biggest risk isn't betting on success, it's walking away too soon. Would you have made the same mistake? The businessman who took a $1 million loan with no plan. Most people take out loans carefully, with a business plan, a strategy, a way to pay it back. But Adam Neumann did something very different. He borrowed $1 million with no clear plan, and convinced investors to pump billions into his idea. He was the co-founder of WeWork, a company that promised to revolutionize office spaces. At first, the idea seemed brilliant. WeWork leased luxury office spaces, then rented them out to small businesses and startups. But here's the problem. The company was spending money way faster than it was making money. Neumann didn't care. He flew private jets. He bought luxury mansions, not for the company, but for himself. He threw lavish parties. He spent company money like it would never run out. At its peak, WeWork was valued at $47 billion. Investors believed in Neumann's confidence, until they finally checked the numbers. The company was bleeding cash, and when it tried to go public, investors panicked. WeWork's IPO collapsed. Neumann was forced to resign. But here's the craziest part. Even though he failed, he walked away with a $1.7 billion exit package. Yes, he lost the company, but he still became insanely rich. The lesson? Sometimes confidence alone can take you far, but without a solid plan, even billion-dollar dreams can collapse. The woman who sold her house for Bitcoin. Now let's talk about a risk that actually paid off. What if you sold everything you owned, your house, your car, your savings, just to buy Bitcoin? That's exactly what Christina L. Corey did. Back in 2013, Bitcoin was still new and controversial. It was worth just a few $100s per coin. Most people thought it was a scam. Governments warned against it. Banks refused to acknowledge it. But Christina saw something different. She believed Bitcoin was the future of money. So she made a bold move. She sold her house and put every dollar into Bitcoin. Her family called her crazy. Her friends begged her not to do it. What if Bitcoin crashes? What if you lose everything? Are you out of your mind? She didn't listen. She held on to her Bitcoin, watching it rise and fall. By 2017, Bitcoin hit $20,000 per coin. Then in 2021, Bitcoin skyrocketed to $60,000 per coin. Christina became a multimillionaire. Her one bold move made her one of the most successful crypto investors in history. But here's the thing. For every Christina, there are thousands of people who lost everything chasing Bitcoin. The lesson? Massive risks can lead to massive rewards, but only if you truly understand what you're doing. Would you have taken this risk? The gambler who turned $50 into $10 million, then lost it all. Imagine sitting in a Las Vegas casino, holding just $50 in your hand. Most people would play a few slot machines, lose the money, and go home. But Billy Walters? He turned that $50 into $10 million, only to lose it all again. Walters wasn't just any gambler, he was one of the best sports bettors in history. Unlike the average gambler, he didn't bet on luck, he bet on math. Using an advanced statistical system, he analyzed thousands of sports games, looking for patterns the casinos didn't see. For years his system worked. He placed bets with high confidence. He used multiple intermediaries to avoid detection. He won more than he lost, making millions every year. But then, he got too greedy. He started placing bigger and riskier bets, believing his system was unstoppable. One weekend he placed a massive bet on an underdog team, convinced he had cracked the odds. And for the first time in years, he lost. Then he tried to win it back. He bet bigger, and lost again. He kept doubling down, convinced he could turn things around. But the losing streak didn't stop. Within weeks, his entire $10 million fortune was gone. All of it. His once bulletproof system had failed because in the end, the house always wins. Walter's story is a cautionary tale for anyone who thinks gambling is a path to wealth. The lesson? No matter how much you think you figured out the game, you're never truly in control. Would you have stopped while you were ahead? Or would you have lost it all too? The YouTuber who spent his last dollar on a viral stunt. Now, not every risk leads to disaster. Some risks change lives forever. And that's exactly what happened to Jimmy Donaldson, better known as Mr. Beast. Before he became the biggest YouTuber in the world, he was just a broke content creator with a dream. He had no brand deals, no sponsors, and barely any views. For years he uploaded videos that no one watched. He could have given up, but instead he made a life-changing decision. He spent every last dollar he had on a viral stunt video. The idea was simple. He filmed himself counting to 100,000. It was ridiculous. No one had ever done it before. Some of his friends thought he was crazy. Why would anyone watch that? You're wasting your time. There's no way this will go viral. But Jimmy believed in his idea. He stayed up for nearly 24 hours straight, counting out loud, pushing himself to the limit. When he finally uploaded the video, something incredible happened. It blew up. Millions of people watched it. His channel exploded in popularity. And instead of spending the money he made, he did something even riskier. He reinvested everything into even bigger, crazier videos. He started giving away thousands of dollars in challenges. He created high-budget game shows with insane prizes. He pushed his videos to become more extreme, more exciting, more viral. And today, Mr. Beast is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. His willingness to bet everything on himself turned him into one of the most successful YouTubers in history. The lesson? Sometimes the best investment you can make is in yourself. Would you have taken the same risk? Final thoughts. These 5 people risked everything, and their stories show us one thing: risk can either make you rich or leave you with nothing. Ronald Wayne played it too safe, and missed out on billions. Adam Newman risked everything with no plan, and still walked away rich. Christina El Khoury bet her home on Bitcoin, and became a millionaire. Billy Walters thought he had gambling figured out, until he lost everything. Mr. Beast bet on himself, and built a global empire. Would you take a risk like this? Let me know in the comments. And before you go, subscribe to 3x3 Finance and give this video a thumbs up. Let's make sure your financial decisions lead to success, not regret.